Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our SEQENS Personal Care webinar. How can you naturally innovate for longevity? So as we wait for the clock to hit the exact start time, we invite you to sit and then to have a look at our video, and then after we'll start right away.
We are SEQENS. We are French, but international. Together carrying a common goal. Collectively, we can be proud of what we have achieved and of the values that we continue to share. We are SEQENS. SEQENS is industry, chemistry, and discoveries. SEQENS is a global leader, serving more than 1,000 customers. We devote our energy to our customers. SEQENS gather 3,200 people in 10 countries. SEQENS is people, science, pharmaceuticals, challenges, and innovation. SEQENS is cosmetics and biology. SEQENS is sharing with the generations to come and caring with CSR commitment for the planet. SEQENS is our science for your future.
So hello again, welcome everyone to join us for this new webinar, SEQENS Personal Care webinar. So as usual, we are thrilled to have so many of you today with us to follow and to better understand the topic we will deal with today. So just reminding you about the general rules. This webinar is being recorded, so that means that we will be able to send you the replay as soon as possible. And then there will be at the end of the webinar a Q&A time, so you can ask all the questions during the webinar on the chat box or at the end, and then we will try our best to answer your questions. And so just a little bit of your time at the very end of the webinar. If you have 1 minute, we have a little survey. If you can answer the very quick question, that would be great for us to help us improve our webinar format. So today, this is our speakers who are going to talk about and to try to answer the how can you naturally innovate for longevity question. So our speakers of the day from the SEQENS Personal Care expert are Sonia Guillaume, our key account and active ingredient product manager, and Hendrik Bessem, Global Product Manager and expert on antimicrobials at SEQENS Personal Care. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our SEQENS Personal Care webinar. How can you naturally innovate for longevity? So as we wait for the clock to hit the exact start time, we invite you to sit and then to have a look at our video, and then after we'll start right away.
We are SEQENS. We are French, but international. Together carrying a common goal. Collectively, we can be proud of what we have achieved and of the values that we continue to share. We are SEQENS. SEQENS is industry, chemistry, and discoveries. SEQENS is a global leader, serving more than 1,000 customers. We devote our energy to our customers. SEQENS gather 3,200 people in 10 countries. SEQENS is people, science, pharmaceuticals, challenges, and innovation. SEQENS is cosmetics and biology. SEQENS is sharing with the generations to come and caring with CSR commitment for the planet. SEQENS is our science for your future.
So hello again, welcome everyone to join us for this new webinar, SEQENS Personal Care webinar. So as usual, we are thrilled to have so many of you today with us to follow and to better understand the topic we will deal with today. So just reminding you about the general rules. This webinar is being recorded, so that means that we will be able to send you the replay as soon as possible. And then there will be at the end of the webinar a Q&A time, so you can ask all the questions during the webinar on the chat box or at the end, and then we will try our best to answer your questions. And so just a little bit of your time at the very end of the webinar. If you have 1 minute, we have a little survey. If you can answer the very quick question, that would be great for us to help us improve our webinar format. So today, this is our speakers who are going to talk about and to try to answer the how can you naturally innovate for longevity question. So our speakers of the day from the SEQENS Personal Care expert are Sonia Guillaume, our key account and active ingredient product manager, and Hendrik Bessem, Global Product Manager and expert on antimicrobials at SEQENS Personal Care. So now let's start our webinar with Sonia Guillaume. Hello, Sonia, how are you?
Hello, Aurélie.
Hello.
Thank you. So I'm here. Thank you for everyone to join the webinar. And so today I want to talk to you about one of our interesting active ingredients, especially developed to focus on longevity and what we call now healthy aging. I'm talking about Celebr'age Getto. First, just a simple fact. As you can see, the world's population is aging at a much faster pace. And you see, so we have just, figures from 2020 to 2025, and you can see how people are getting older, especially in developed countries, Western countries, or Asian countries. And actually, there is a consequence. The consequence in our personal care market is that this market is growing year after year. And we can't see that actually for all anti-aging products. Well, today, when we talk about anti-aging, we talk about longevity, we talk about well-aging. And there are different drivers that explain that. Of course, as I said before, people are getting older. So that's just automatic. But also there's something else, other factors that explain this increase in terms of sales for anti-aging products. It's first that consumers are more and more aware of skincare longevity, and they're asking for more and more premium and personalized anti-aging solution. And actually, it's not only in the cosmetic industry. You can see that in biotechnology, in pharmaceutical, and also all the healthcare industry. Just when you look at investments in research, it's just clear. We want to live longer, but we want to live longer the best as possible. And as a consequence today, because actually people, they have a new attitude regarding anti-aging, because now we spend so much time online and we are so much exposed to social networks, we can see that our perception of aging and as a result, consumers' expectations on beauty products are changing. And now we can say that the narrative towards aging cosmetics has changed. So we don't really talk about anti-aging, or when we talk more about healthy aging, well aging, pro-aging. It means that we accept better to get older. But in the same time, we want to look healthy. We want to look fit. And that's the reason why people want more and more cosmetics, and that will give them a nice skin. Here, actually, that's the idea, because the narrative has changed. So now a new concept has arrived called longevity. And what does that mean? Actually, it means how to live longer, as I said. And the big brands now, they have clearly used this new concept for a kind of new narrative regarding their anti-aging products. You can see that with L'Oreal, Estée Lauder, or even Shiseido. Remember, these three brands come from three developed countries. And what is actually now, what does that mean in terms of skin when we talk about well aging? We talk about actually four aspects, four things that are very important. The first is about hydration, of course. Second, about elasticity. And then something that anybody can tell when you meet someone, it's about radiance, it's about glow. And finally, skin texture. And this is what we will focus on, and with Celebr'age Getto. So we decided not to focus on wrinkles or fine line, but on the overall skin quality. What is Celebr'age Getto? This is what we have decided to say. This is the well-aging solution inspired by blue zones. And I will explain to you what blue zones are now. Well, when SEQENS launched the product, launched Celebr'age Getto, it was because SEQENS knew about the blue zones. Actually, there are 5 blue zones on the planet. One in South California, one that is Costa Rica, and then 3 islands, 2 in the Mediterranean Sea, and one in Japan called Okinawa. And actually on Okinawa Island, there is 4 to 5 times more centenarians than in Western population. And we know that it's a kind of, we have like a kind of a global explanation, but there are actually 3 factors that explain this exceptional longevity. Healthy mental aging, because people live together in community. Also physical independence, people, they do sports every day. And finally, a very specific diet. And SEQENS dived a little bit on the diet and realized that on the Okinawa Island, people eat a lot of this plant called Getto. What is the Getto? Getto actually can be called as well shell ginger, because it's a plant that belongs to the Gingeraceae family, and it has actually a typical ginger smell. And we know that all the plants in the Gingeraceae family contain a lot of polyphenols, and we all know all the benefits that polyphenols can give us. I mean, regarding, so of course, the antioxidant activity and different action, including longevity extending effect. The Celebr'age Getto, just I wanted to give you some information about what it is. So we made an extract from the Getto, and actually it's the Getto has been organically cultivated in very fair conditions on the Okinawa Island. And this is actually Celebr'age Getto is an extract that is 100% natural origin and preservative free. You have here the INCI list of the products that contains only 3 elements. Then I will explain to you what we did regarding Celebr'age Getto, because as I said, we focus on the overall skin quality, not the lines. But still, to get these 4 aspects, these 4 characteristics of a good skin, a skin that is radiant, you need to check different things. So we wanted first to know what type of components age-to fibroblasts can synthesize. Second, we really focused on the dermoepidermis junction, because this is very important to get actually also a good epidermis and a good first layers. And finally, of course, we check how our products could really have an effect on skin with a clinical test. Here you just have the results of actually the transcriptomic profile. So actually we test how the product can stimulate the expression of specific genes. And here we check the genes involved in the extracellular matrix, synthesis or organization, and also other components that are important at the level of the dermoepidermis junction. And you can see here that we have very nice results regarding the elastin, the tennessine, but also the biglycan that gives firmness, some collagen, like collagen type 4, and also at the level of dermoepidermis junction, the integrin. Regarding the actually the dermoepidermis junction, we check at its level 2 things: the laminin 5, which is it's a protein very important for the cohesion of the dermoepidermis junction and the whole skin in general, and collagen 1. Collagen 1 is actually the collagen that is, our skin actually, in all the collagen 1 is 90% of the whole collagen our skin contains. Then we have nice results regarding the invagination of the dermoepidermis junction, because we know that where we're getting older, this junction gets more and more flat. And this is not good for the exchanges between the dermis and the epidermis, especially the water that comes from the dermis and that will come into the epidermis. And that is also very important to keep the skin moisturized. On the clinical test results, we have we check actually after 20 days, after 56 days. It was also a double-blind study, and actually our panel consists in women from 40 to 60 years old. And that's important because this is actually the age that we were targeting. And you can see the nice results regarding elasticity, one thing. Then we check the texture and the glow, and you can see that. It's important also the texture, because when you get older, because at that level of the dermis, your skin doesn't produce enough collagen, especially, and then you will have your skin is not even all the time. So we can see that with Celebr'age Getto, we can really improve the softness, thanks and just limits all the depressed areas of the skin. Finally, we test the radiance You remember this is also an aspect of a healthy skin. And well, to check the radiance, actually, we look at two parameters. First, the rosy aspect of the skin and the yellowish aspect of the skin. And actually, Celebr'age Getto enhance the rosy aspect and decrease the yellowish aspect. Finally, we wanted to see, all the glow and the radiance clearly on the skin. So that's why you have here pictures at G0 and G28. And you can see clearly that Celebr'age Getto gives more radiance and clearly and smoothness to the skin. I just have to remember you that the use level of Celebr'age Getto is quite low because we use only 2%. And it's also the percentage that we use in all in vitro ex vivo tests. To summarize here and to give you some ideas in terms of claims, you have here a list, like makes the skin glow, helps the skin to look smoother. There are different claims. What I'd like to add actually is that with Celebr'age Getto, you got all the story about longevity on the long-term effects. And I think it's could be very interesting to combine Celebr'age Getto with very well-known active ingredients like vitamin C, like retinol, that clearly aim on wrinkles. But then with Celebr'age Getto, you have all the other benefits that you need to get a healthy skin. Actually, to give you some ideas, we actually develop a serum called Well Aging Radiance Serum that we call C Longevity. This serum actually uses different ingredients, and not only Celebr'age Getto, but also our one of our green antimicrobial. And Hendrik will talk about it just after me. And here is the serum. So in terms of galenic, it's a rich gel-like serum. And it's easy to use because actually we selected a pack when you can just take a few drops because it's a serum, and you don't need a lot because we actually put a high concentration of our Celebr'age Getto. And it has been developed by our partner, Leading Edge Innovations. And you have actually in the product two preservative boosters, actually the pentylene glycol, biosourced, and ethyl glycerin, biosourced. And then I let Hendrik the floor to present you more other biosourced styles. Thank you very much.
And now let's talk. Let's go through the second part of this webinar with Hendrik Bessem. Hi, Hendrik. How are you? It's good to see you.
Thank you, Aurélie. Also, thank you, Sonia. I would like to start with a little personal note. I'm always impressed by the different pictures shown about actives, not only from SEQENS, but also from a lot of other companies. And for me, it's always a little bit difficult to show something about microbiology. What are the results? How does it look like? Because it's invisible. But nevertheless, especially for this webinar today, I also searched something that is more or less looking in the same way as yours. And luckily, I found something also to show to you. I don't know if it is really the right picture to show just before lunch. And on the other hand, we are also here to help you overcome these kinds of problems in your final formulation. But this is exactly what can happen in cosmetic formulations if you do not take care too much about preservation. Nice colors, nice products, but unfortunately, this is not what we want. So therefore, what I would like to do today with you is to introduce again some new molecules, not only one single molecule, but also a mixture that really can preserve between brackets your final product. Before I'm going to do that, I would like to dive into the use of diols. So I'm sure that most of you are already familiar with diols in general. So for example, we have pentanediol, we have hexanediol, we have octanediol. Octanediol, a different name is caprylyl glycol. And all these molecules are based on a carbon chain. So for example, pentanediol is a C5 chemistry, hexanediol C6 chemistry, octanediol C8. And if you look to the MIC values for the different molecules, you can also see that the longer the chain, the better the efficacy is against microbes. What you also can see is, and that is what is projected on the right side, the longer the chain, the less liquid the product will become. So for example, the pentylene glycol, it's a very, very liquid product. It's 100% liquid. Hexanediol as well. But if you talk already about caprylyl glycol, this is sold into, dependent on the temperature, a liquid, especially in those countries where you have a higher temperature. But for example, you also can receive this product as a waxy substance or sometimes as a solid. On the other hand, also a molecule that is nowadays used in the industry, if we talk about diethylene glycol, so the C10 chemistry, then this is a solid product. So again, the longer the chain, the less solubility you have and a different appearance. But on the other hand, you also see a very clear difference between the antimicrobial properties of these molecules against different germs in general. Perhaps a little note about MIC. MIC for me does not give you the full picture. MIC stands for minimum inhibition concentration. If you really want to know if a molecule or product is working very well, the only way to check is to do a challenge test. Because a challenge test is really showing the performance of your system. And it then also will tell you if your final formulation is well protected or not. If we talk about skin and also, of course, about the use of different diols in general, what we also must keep in mind is the differences in skin. For example, the European skin or so-called Caucasian skin is reacting in a different way than the Asian skin. Also something that I experienced myself. For example, dealing with manufacturers of cosmetic ingredients from Asia, they had a little bit a different opinion and a different use of different molecules. Because it seems that, for example, the Asian skin reacts more aggressively towards different molecules than, for example, the Caucasian skin types. One very important example is hexanediol. Hexanediol is really #1 used in Asia because it doesn't show any irritation potential on the skin. It does not create heating effect when you add, for example, a mask on your face. And that is a little bit different than what you can see, for example, in Europe. Next slide. So for example, if you have a closer look on the different markets and also a look on the different molecules used by the different markets, then you can see some differences. And I really would like to point out a little bit the differences between Asia and Europe. Again, from the perspective that they have a different skin type. So again, what we see in Asia very often is formulations are preserved, first of all with hexandiol, but of course also with a combination partner. So it's not always alone that the hexandiol is used in a final product. If you compare the hexandiol use with Europe, Asia is much higher use than, for example, Europe. On the other hand, if we compare pentylene glycol, then you see that the use of pentylene glycol is more or less the same between Asia Pacific and Europe. Also for other ingredients like ethylhexylglycerine and caprylyl glycol, sometimes you see a difference in use and sometimes there is more or less the same use of the same ingredient. What I also would like to make you aware of is that if we talk about pentylene glycol and hexandiol, these two molecules are so-called multifunctionals. And multifunctionals are ingredients that have more activity than only, let me say, an antimicrobial property. So they can also be used as solvents, humectants, emollients, etc., etc. But on the other hand, we also have the wording boosters. And a very good example for a booster is ethylhexylglycerine or caprylyl glycol. These two molecules are also, beside being a booster, a multifunctional. And booster means that the two ingredients have the capacity to increase the efficacy against microbes. So a little bit different than pentylene glycol and hexandiol, but it is also a multifunctional, so caprylyl glycol, ethylhexylglycerine. But again, you get a stronger effect against different types of microbes, adding boosters like ethylhexylglycerine. If we also again have a closer look on the different, let me say, diols in general, then you also can see that the C6 or hexandiol has a much lower skin irritation potential and one of the lowest one that we can see from all the different types of diols. On the other hand, we also see that, for example, hexandiol has more or less the same maximum absorption rate if you compare hexandiol with pentylene glycol, for example, but has a different absorption rate if compared with caprylyl glycol. I also would like to have a little side information because it's definitely something that I learned from the market, being in the market for already so many years. So if we talk about hexandiol and pentylene glycol, there is definitely a difference in use concentration. So for hexandiol, it's between 0.5 and 1.5%. If we talk about pentylene glycol, we always talk about use concentrations between 3, 4, or 5%. On the other hand, I'm aware that especially in France, pentylene glycol is very often used as the preferred, let me say, multifunctional with antimicrobial properties because it can have a significant impact on the naturality, especially when you add pentylene glycol in a use concentration of 5%. If you make use of a biobased pentylene glycol, you already increase your naturality with 5%. Clear. On the other hand, if you are also talking about cost savings, and I'm sure that a lot of you are also involved in saving costs for your developments and for the company. So hexandiol is doing more or less the same as pentylene glycol, has a significant lower use concentration, working in the same way on microbes, but it also has more or less the same pricing as, for example, pentylene glycol. So that means that if you compare the use concentration from the two molecules, it's of course a different dimension because 1% compared to 5%, same pricing, same activity. It's definitely something that you as a customer can consider for your future developments, for example. Okay, going into the details for our new product launches. The first one that we would like to introduce to you, it's the AdvensProtect 6 Green. And this is a bio-based hexandiol that we will introduce to you beside our synthetic one that we already have in the market for many, many years now. So again, based on the previous slides, hexandiol is already widely used in very sensitive skin application areas. So like different emulsions, very often used in facial masks, very often used in, for example, also SPF formulations. And it really shows that hexandiol is a well appreciated and very often used molecule in different formulations already. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we already have our synthetic hexandiol that we already produce ourselves at one of our powerhouses located in the UK. So we are starting for that material from synthetic raw materials. We create an intermediate with a very high purity, and we end up with a very pure hexandiol with a very low impurity profile. And this is a product that we put into the market under the name AdvensProtect 6. If we then look in what we do today with our bio-based material, first of all, it's very difficult to always find the right starting material, but we have identified the right molecules to start from. We have an IP on the process, and based on the bio-based raw materials, we create different intermediates with a very high purity, and we also end up with a very high pure hexandiol with the same purity, with the same low impurity profile, identical to what we already have at our synthetic molecule. So it really can become a one-to-one drop-in replacement in case you want to change from your synthetic hexandiol to a bio-based material hexandiol. And what I also must mention is that every different step within the process that we have in place, we also make sure that everything is 100% bio-based. This is something that we do with C14 analysis carried out at an external partner. And this is really something that is necessary, first of all, towards you, that everything we sell is 100% bio-based. And of course, also for us that we are doing the right steps to produce a 100% hexandiol. On the other hand, we also know from a competitor situation, from patents that they have in place based on their internal process, a little bit different than what we are doing. Based on the information, we know that they are also creating a bio-based hexandiol, but they also mention the presence of an isomer. And this isomer seems to be difficult to remove in their process. And it also seems to be present next to the hexandiol. And if you talk about impurities, and if you also talk about impurities of which you do not know much about, it's always difficult to know, okay, what does it do on the skin? Is it more irritating? Does it have a negative impact? And that is exactly why we said we must have a pure product without any impurity and with a very good reliability on what we offer towards the market. So this is an overview of an antimicrobial test. So what we want to show here is that the synthetic molecule compared to the bio-based material is doing exactly the same. So it's drop-in replacement. But what you also see is that hexandiol is not doing everything. It doesn't kill the full range of microbes. Therefore, you always must make use of a combination partner. And this combination partner is something that you must identify. We are there to help, but it's definitely necessary to also create something that kills everything with support of hexandiol, of course. And this is something that I can show you here. It's a test that we carried out making use of hexandiol and also a booster, ethylhexylglycerin. So we can have the both molecules as a natural bio-based material. But what you can see, and this is the most important information, in case you are able to combine the two molecules, first of all, you create a much faster activity against microbes. This is the purple line in the different schemes here. But you also create an activity against molds and fungi. And this is again the boosting of ethylhexylglycerin on hexandiol, but creating an effect that really protects your final formulation in the right and the full way. A short summary, AdvensProtect 6 Green, it's a well-known multifunctional ingredient, has a very high purity, it's colorless, it's a clear liquid, it's almost odorless. You can add it into oil, it's water miscible, there is no pH and temperature restriction, and the use concentration is between 0.5 and 1.5. We have UK origin, so produced in the UK. We have Cosmos certification, we have pending NATRU certification, and we also have kosher and halal based on the molecule. Another product that we would like to introduce to you today is AdvensProtect 6-8 Green. It's a combination product of, on the one hand, hexandiol, on the other hand, caprylyl glycol. We already have this product available as a synthetic combination, and we now also have the availability of the single molecules as a bio-based, and also, of course, the 6-8 Green as a combination. So this is a product that we tested. So it's a placebo oil and water cream, unpreserved. You see a lot of growth. But on the other hand, if you add 0.5% AdvensProtect 6-8 Green with the same formulation, we have protection against the full range of microorganisms. And this shows that it really can be a solution for you to protect your final formulation. The summary also here, it's a multifunctional combination. You can make use of the different properties. It's also a molecule, or not a molecule, it's a combination with a very high purity. It's colorless, it's a liquid. There is no pH, there is no temperature restriction. Use concentration, it's always a little bit difficult for me to mention, but we must do challenge tests to define the right one. But it will be between 0.4 and 1%. Produced in the UK, we have Cosmos, we are going to have NATRU, we have kosher, halal, etc., etc. Another very important topic, and this is of course also something that I also would like to mention during every presentation. SEQENS is a responsible care company. And we also know that there is a lot of greenwashing outside. And this is something that we take care of. So everything that we do, that we mention to you towards the market, we always provide clear and evidence-based claims. So if you talk to us and if you ask us, can you show me that it is really 100% natural? We can do that with C14 analysis. We can show that we have a low carbon product based on calculations that we do ourselves. We can show that we have green ingredients. So everything, what we do is evidence-based and very clear with information that we have on hand. Just to give you as a final, let me say, information, what we have today from a green range or a bio-based range is, first of all, the ethylhexylglycerine with or without natural tocopherol. So a very good booster. We have it available as a bio-based, but also on a synthetic. We have the pentylene glycol. It's also Cosmos Natru certified. Nowadays, we have hexandiol. We have caprylyl glycol as a bio-based. We have the 6,8 green now available for you as a bio-based mixture, but we also have the OE green as a bio-based mixture, but it does not have the Cosmos because of the ethylhexylglycerine. So all these products are available and you can ask for samples. Hexandiol sample and also the 6,8 green is available in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks as a sample, but information is already available, for example.
Oh, before jumping into the video, there is a question for you, Hendrik. Do you have efficacy test results of the AP68 in other formulation besides cream formulation?
So we did a lot of test work. It's something that we definitely will show and also will communicate towards customers and towards you. It's still something that we must collect and we must put it on slides. So yes, we have information that 6,8 is also a very good, let me say, partner in other application areas. Just to give you a little bit of a side information again. So yesterday on LinkedIn, there was a question from somebody about SPF formulation and what people would select as the right preservative system between brackets. You had the choice between different systems, the real preservatives, but also, for example, the 6,8. And the final outcome was most of the people selected 6,8 for their SPF. So I know from experience that 6,8 is very often used in SPF. And sometimes, and again, it is nowadays so difficult to mention to you, yes, it will work. It's really dependent on formulation type. It's dependent on ingredients. It's dependent on everything inside. The only way to know exactly, yes, it works, is to do a challenge test, because a challenge test will really show you, yes, it works or it does not work. And we are partnering with a lot of companies already. Please reach out to us if you need support, if we can have that technical message. And yeah, we are more than happy to do so.
Thank you, Hendrik. It's really clear. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with us today. If you have any question, please share with us and directly in the chat your direct questions. And if you want to help us improve the format of our webinar to make sure that we are always going further in answering to your question, please take 1 minute to click on the survey and answer the question. So yes, I've seen a hand. If you have any question, please write down in the chat, and then Sonia and Hendrik could answer to it directly. Thank you, Marta, for your message. So I guess that if you do not have any question for now, then digest all the information we presented today. And if you have question later, please reach us directly. We are here to answer everything and to organize a meeting. Yeah, I got the question I was waiting for. Can the AP68 be used in solid galenic, perhaps more for sensoriality and hydration?
Yes, it can be used for that application area for sure. So we know that, of course, the higher the concentration, the better the hydration. So you must look how much is possible to be added in a kind of system like that. But it's definitely worth to look at 6-8 green for that application for sure.
Great. Thank you, Hendrik. So we are going to share with you the direct contacts if you want to ask for your samples, and also the replay of this webinar. Thank you again. It's time to leave you, and hope to see you soon for our next webinar before the end of the year. And please do not hesitate still to reach us, and we will be really happy to answer your expectations and to work together. Thank you again. Have a nice day. Thank you.